traveled all over the world, got to represent my country in a lot of fantastic, phenomenal tournaments. Ended up making the Olympic Games in 2008. I was alternate for 2000 and 2004 Olympics as well. I made 2 World Championships teams. I also competed in a few Pan Am Games and championships, as well as multiple national and junior national titles. We're lucky enough to be able to travel around the nation as a family and go and compete at a lot of these tournaments. That plus, as a young kid, I remember showing up to some of these national level tournaments, and there's 90 kids in your division, so having a good time getting out there and then battling for, I must have had 10 some matches at some of these events as a 6-year-old, 8-year-old kid, which is kind of unheard of nowadays. So my dad was wanting to find us the best place to train, and we landed at American Judo Institute in Dallas, and that single-handedly, I think, shaped the future of where my career was going for judo, just because of his teaching style, his knowledge, on and off the mat. He's such a great mentor to all of us kids with, again, judo stuff, but also just anything else we had, school, family, problems, that type of thing. He's such a great mentor for us, but it was very much a competitive atmosphere there as well. What I liked about him was everybody was a little bit different, and that's why I loved his coaching style. It wasn't like, this is what I'm going to teach to everybody that comes out the door, whether it's judo or it's not judo. A lot of places have that, and that's great because they're still helping people. But he had a fantastic ability to just be able to relate it to each kid. Whatever you're going to do it 100%. I think it's hugely important to give back. I gave you a small list of people that have helped me, but in reality, there's tons and tons and tons of people who have reached out and helped and given me their time. And not just me, a lot of kids. Mental is huge. I coached for a while at the training center while I was still an athlete, and then obviously after as well. And Eddie, my coach, I was like, man, I'll take a kid with heart and mental game, talent any day. And I picked judo up pretty quick as a kid. And I don't know if it was the balance or the body awareness or being able to use other people's momentum and center of gravity against them, but I kind of picked it up pretty easy, and I had fun at it. But I think what really kind of set me apart was the work ethic. Not only did I love it, but it was more just I enjoyed winning, and I enjoyed the sport, and I enjoyed learning the sport. So it was consistently a grind, but it was fun. It sucked, but it was fun. Have an intent. When I'm coming to practice, here's what I'm working on. Yes, we're going to do cardio, we're going to do anything else that they point out, but when it comes time to fight, to randori, to live roll, here's what I'm working on. Because if I do my favorite throw every night, then that's all I'm going to be good at, right? But I'm going to put myself in bad positions, right? I'm going to work on these specific pieces, and I think that's where we started making those levels, level up. But it really taught me to be independent and take my career into my own hands, because again, if you just kind of go with the flow, you don't make a team, then you have a lot of people to blame. Take the reins and say, look, I know what I got to weigh. Because mine was always cardio, right? My cardio was always pretty weak, so I knew that was somewhere I had to strengthen, and I went and I figured it out. I went and worked with cardio coaches. I worked with Eddie. I saw a lot of kids who didn't do that, and ended up not getting the results they wanted, but it was never their fault. Man, we tried a lot of different things, but visualization was huge for us. Number one, hey, visualize yourself in this situation. What obstacles are you seeing in your head? How do you overcome it? What can you do better? And then also, kind of like you said, hey, I have all these positive motivational things on the walls. That was a big thing that they said, hey, put this on your mirror. We're not going to tell you what to put. You know what motivates you, right? And make it something that's attainable and measurable, but put it up. Let's see it every day. Nobody comes out as a world champion. Nobody's born as a world champion, right? They have to work. They have to sacrifice. They have to bleed. They have to sweat. They have to cry probably in joy and in pain, but you have anything worthwhile, you're going to have to work. And who works harder is the guy who wins. if I did everything correctly, including weight cutting, including scouting who's going to be at these, if it's the nationals, I knew it was going to be me and Jimmy Pedro and Orlando Fuentes. I knew the usual suspects who were going to be there, and I had put my work in months ahead of time, knowing that, hey, this guy's a lefty, here's what he does, this guy does this, here's my weakness to this guy's stuff, and prepping myself and putting myself in bad situations and killing myself in the gym so that when I get to those tournaments, I don't have to worry about it, because at that point, it's too late. If I get there and I haven't done the work, then I have a lot to stress about, and it's out of my control. Because the good part about judo is anybody can win on any day. Whether you're a world champion, I've seen so many world championships where the number one seed loses to the last seeded guy, and that's the exciting part about the sport. But most of the time, the 80-20 rule, right? 80%, the guys who work their butts off end up on the podium. If I did my job right, then how I'd like to enter tournaments was just stress-free, easygoing, because I'm not the guy that listens to heavy metal before. I like to joke around. I like to, because it's fun, right? I've done my hard part. Now let's go have fun. I don't need to get zoned in because I've already done the work, and now I get to enjoy this moment. It definitely became to a point where you got to qualify this division. You have to get enough points. You have to put your hands on the guys that you think you're going to fight at the games, or at least are going to be the number one guys going into it, so that you can give yourself a real shot when you make it, if you make it. And then the biggest piece, I think, was funding, and the USLC did a great job of that, but most of it landed on our shoulders. And, I hustled. I was working full time and going to school, and my parents helped, friends helped, and all that good stuff. But a lot of pressure. Joy for the sport is still there, but there's a lot of other things surrounding it. Hey, that's what you signed up for, right? And, the Olympic Games isn't supposed to be like the local tournament. And the biggest piece, I think, was staying healthy. Knowing when to turn it on and when to train and not overtrain, and be smart about those things, because there's a lot of different people giving you different advice. That's the interesting dynamic of wrestling and judo. It's like it's an individual sport, but you very much need a team to help you. It was awesome. It was really cool. They staged all of US together in a little gymnasium, so we got to meet all the basketball players. We got to meet all our friends that we've seen or trained with in Colorado or Chula Vista or different training centers. So it was pretty fun, man. Everybody's taking pictures, talking, and having a good time. What I do remember, though, is they had us, our Ralph Malone was our outfitter. We were looking great, man, but it was a full suit. And it was probably, we got off the plane, and I remember he said it was smoggy and all that, but we got off the plane and it was 80 degrees, sun shining, so by the time it was open ceremony time, it was about 100 degrees. It was awesome. That's what I love about judo, man. Everybody's styles are different, and even within the country, you'll have different athletes that have different influences with how they judo is, which is, it makes it very much like a chess match. Even though we're in combat, it's a combat sport, right? It's very much a chess match, right? That's the great part about it, but that style is hell to fight. It's just hard because from the moment they say Hajime and they start the match, they're pushing and they're in your face and you're going to be in a fight. Add that on top of great technique, and it's a very lethal combination because they're going to make you pay.
And strong.
To get, it is. When somebody's headbutt you and push you, and, you're thinking about that instead of thinking about your judo. I hate fighting those guys. I love them to death because I respect their judo and I love them, but holy moly, that style's a handful. You don't get a rest, period. At any point they can throw you. I'd much rather fight a Japanese player, and because it's stand up. It's and I don't want to say. Well, I was gonna say it's judo, and not taking away from Georgian style at all, because they get. Our number one Georgian now is our number one player in 73 now is a Georgian, right? Great judo player, super technical. But I think it just that style allows for more stand-up throws, beautiful, real judo. The only hard part is when you fight a guy like that, your technique's going to be there because just traveling and training in Japan over the years, I mean, it's what they do, right? It's hours and hours and hours of Ichikos and sit-ins and throws and drills. Their technical aspect is just on point. That's a great question. It's super hard to even describe who I would be if I didn't have martial arts, because ever since I was 5, it's been something that's been shaping my life on and off the mat. Obviously, it's a sport, but what I love about judo is there's the other journey as well, right? The philosophies behind judo that it teaches you, that helps you be a better person, helps you be a better friend, student, brother, son, employee, that type of thing. So I think just put such a positive spin on my mentality as a person. It helps me be kinder to other people to help them grow their journey. It's obstacles, right? Obstacles are thrown your way every day in judo helps you kind of have a better idea of how to combat those. Man, it's changed my life. I have no idea where I would have been, but I know with it, it's made such a better impact on my life than I would be without it. It's one of the most important lessons you can learn is there's always somebody bigger and tougher and meaner, and so
right.
Be nice to everybody. You never know
Absolutely.
so much that it does for everybody, but it did for my life. But I think the biggest thing is gaining that independence as a person, and I think that's more through, obviously through judo, but through traveling. Like I said, I'm 14 years old, being dropped off in Sweden. Okay, go.
Right. Yeah.
Take it to the tournament and make weight. There's a lot of times I didn't have a coach. The cheesiest advice I have is have fun. But
Sure.
It's super important. You're starting this journey for a reason, whether, hey, maybe you want to make a games, or I just want to be in shape, I want to defend myself, whatever it is, right? I've found through life that the best way to stick to something new is to enjoy it, right? To find a way to enjoy it, whatever that may be. That's the biggest piece. Number 2, show up. Make sure the more you get in there, especially a combat sports fan, it's so unnatural for a lot of people. The more you're there, the more normal it's going to be. And then it becomes more of a muscle memory type of deal instead of something you have to think about, especially if you're talking self-defense. Mm-hmm. You don't want to have to think, I need to do this or this. You want to be able to just react and protect your family or do whatever you have to do, right? So that's a huge part. Show up consistently, get those reps in. Don't be afraid to compete.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be afraid to lose, because in this whole scheme of things, me being an Olympian, I've lost to so many white belts and yellow belts in my life.
Yeah.
But I was there, right? And I didn't
Sure.
care. I was working because, you have a goal. I was working on one thing, and nobody to this day has gone, hey, you're an Olympian. Remember that time you lost to that white belt? Right? They don't. You just got to have the end point in mind. Don't just show up to show up. Once you get better at it, start having goals for your practice. It does make it more interesting for you, but it also kind of helps you reach your goals.